Hey everybody, so, crap, of course I switched to develop right away. Let me move this too. Here we go. Welcome back to another video. It's going to be an Hardell reaction video. It's an old video, but it's representative. And this video is going to be badly edited because I'm not editing it, but I don't really care. So, today we're going to be learning about the ABCs of LGBT. It's gonna be a fun video. I'm excited to react to this. So we're going to react to it. I'm also sitting in my chair really weird, so yeah. But anyway, we are going to react to this video. I'm gonna move my camera slightly. Or way. This way. This way. Let's see. Yeah, that works. Okay. So we're gonna react to this video now. And see what comes out of it.
Butterbeer! Someone sent this to my P.O. box, and I love them. Hello YouTube, there is going to be a lot of fast talking in this video. Get ready. So every once in a while we jump into the realm of education on this channel and you get to hear me gush about topics I am ridiculously fascinated with. And the subject...
Throw back to when, like, she spent years questioning herself because she likes labels so much.
I am absolutely jazzed about currently is labels, or the ABCs of LGBT.
She has a book called The ABCs of LGBT, and she has an entire series on this channel where she just reads from the book. Like, why bother buying the book when she just reads from it for free? So I do kind of want to buy the book and see what's in it. That would be fun.
If you will. But I don't want to talk about the generic mainstream labels. Most of us know the L stands for lesbian, the G for gay, and many of us have...
And a B and a T. And that's it.
A decently solid idea of what these labels mean. At least to us. So what I would like to cover today are the identities that are less accepted, more unique, mis- or underrepresented.
Romantic orientation. Okay. Ace and arrow, fine. The other ones. Except demisexual. I'll accept demisexual. Like, I've come around on that term, but like the other one.
And sometimes hella ambiguous. What can I say? Gray spaces.
I'll react more to the labels once she talks about them.
Are like crack to me. Hopefully by the end of this video, your mind is blown with the amount of variation out there.
I'm already blown by the attention seeking.
And your knowledge of sexual and gender diversity is broadened. Maybe you'll even discover a word you never knew existed, but resonates deeply with you. So.
Though honestly, I like watched this stuff when I was 12 and it screwed me up for years. Like, years. Like, Tumblr. It messed me up.
Let's get the ball rolling with a ton of sexualities that exist between the hetero and homo ends of the orientation spectrum. Note that these are very important to talk about because there is a lot of middle of the spectrum or bi erasure out there, and that's not cool. These identities are valid, beautiful, not confused, and often underrepresented or even excluded from the queer world. I am not one to play the oppression Olympics, but when you don't quite fit into a hetero
Really? Really?
sexual mold, and at the same
Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm not binary.
time you face scrutiny and inner minority hate from your fellow queer community members, it can be a very lonely feeling. So let's break down all of these labels and talk about their similarities and some of the subtle nuances that make them different. Bisexuality traditionally means that a person is sexually attracted to more than one gender. Pansexuality is similar, however its prefix is obviously different, being pan, which means all. Therefore, pan people actively acknowledge in their label that gender is a non-binary concept.
So, hold on.
However, its prefix is
Attracted to all genders. So, bi.
is obviously different, being pan, which means all. Therefore, pan people actively acknowledge in their label that gender is a non-binary concept. They can
Doesn't mean it is. Because, you know, 2 genders, so all would be 2. So, bi.
fall in love with any gender, and many pan people like and choose to use this qualifier because it's trans-inclusive. Why else might a person choose
Trans-inclusive. Oh, so bisexual people are transphobic now, guys. Because, you know, apparently trans people aren't real men or women, so include them in bisexual is a no-no. So you have to use a whole separate label if you like trans people.
choose to identify as pan rather than bi? Well, unfortunately, bisexuality has a lot of incorrect and negative stigma surrounding it. There are many misconceptions that bisexuals are slutty or confused. With the label pan, you avoid this and are sometimes taken more seriously, because
You know how you could reform the stigma? By stopping making up, by not making up labels that mean the exact same thing. And just identifying as the label that has the bad stigma to change the stigma.
let's be real, pansexual sounds hella queer. On the flip side, why might someone choose to
Of course it does. It's a made-up label.
identify as bi rather than pan? Because no one freaking knows what pan means. Usually when a pan
I wonder why.
person comes out, they have to follow up their label with a 10-minute explanation. This can be annoying. Also, if you don't do it right, it can come off pretentious. Oh, well, I identify as pansexual. What? You've never heard of it before? Let me enlighten you, simple peasant. First off, gender is a non-binary concept. See what I mean? Bi, on the other hand, is simple and clear. Some argue that it's transphobic, however, because the prefix bi technically means 2, as in there are 2 genders, man and woman. But I'm not so sure. I know plenty of people who interpret the 2 in bi as meaning loving the same gender and loving other genders. They would be very open to falling in love with a trans person. So bi, pan, it's totally up to you. Personally, I identify with both. On to more middle of the spectrum orientations. Omni means all, ambi means both.
So omni means all, so again that's 2, and it's also the same as pan. So another unnecessary label. Ambi is both, you know, is also both. Bi.
Or ambiguous. Multi means multiple, and poly means many.
Multiple, many, same thing. And again, 2, bi. So 7 different labels for the exact same thing.
So these are all sexualities where there is an
I don't know if it's 7, it's like 5, but like I didn't count.
attraction to more than one gender. Some people interpret ambi, multi, poly, and bi as being different from pan and omni. They state that these identities are attracted to many, but not necessarily all genders. While these identities could fall for someone of any gender.
If you're attracted to not all genders, then you're attracted to one gender. It's really not that hard.
In some cases, people who identify with these labels describe themselves as being gender blind. This simply means that gender does not play a significant role in who they are and aren't attracted to.
Obviously, it doesn't for bi people either, because they're attracted to both. Unless they have, like, preferences, but, like, that just means you have a 50-50 split and you're bi. You don't need a whole separate label for that. Also, majority of people, I bet, are not exactly 50-50.
Others who identify with these labels feel completely the opposite. They might find masculinity or femininity or androgyny or etc. all very attractive in their own unique ways. They see, embrace, celebrate, and are attracted to all genders. So by now you might be thinking something like, wow, there sure are a lot of words for essentially the same identity, and you're right! But subtle nuances and interpretations can make them all different, and these slight differences can be very significant for some people. So it's important that you let them self-identify and respect the qualifier.
People who like attention will find small nuances. That's what this entire channel is.
They choose. On the flip side, someone else might see the differences in these orientations as personally negligible, choose to identify with them all, and use them interchangeably. And that's totally okay too, everyone's different. And if you're looking for a fun umbrella term for all of these awesome middle of the spectrum orientations, queer,
Which is technically, I mean, it's coming back and I can't police people's language, but queer is technically a slur, so I would not recommend identifying as queer. Like, you can use it to describe yourself, but I wouldn't use it as your label. Like, it's just a piece of advice. Like,
or multisexual could both be options for you.
Or bisexual is also an option.
Now let's backtrack to that buzzword self-identifying. This is the idea that people have power over not only the labels they choose to use when describing themselves, but also what these labels mean. My pansexuality might be different from your pansexuality. My bi might be different from your bi, but we're still both allowed to use these words and our own personal, individual definitions for them. You gotta own the word. The word does not own you. Now on to scoliosexuality. This one's really unique and blows my mind. This orientation is when a person is attracted to non-cisgender or non-binary individuals.
So, trans fetishization. Okay. Didn't know we had a separate label for this now. And also, I thought scoliosexual was like attracted to someone's intellect, unless I'm thinking of another word that also starts with an S. But really, do you need a term for this? Really?
So, for example, trans, genderqueer, or androgynous people. How cool! How about
No, it's a fetish. If you're only attracted to trans people, that's a fetish. No.
homo or heteroflexible? These identities have an ultimate preference, typically veering towards either the same or other genders. However, they acknowledge the possibility and instances where they stray from their usual preference.
So, either bi with a preference, or they're bi-curious/questioning. Really, like, you really need all these special labels. Like, really, they're all bi. They're all bi. Like, come on.
Now that we're all chatted up about sexual orientations, let's make things a little more complex. Every prefix we have just covered and more can all be applied to a romantic orientation. Unlike sexual orientation or who a person is sexually attracted to, romantic orientation is who a person is romantically or
Okay, I know most people disagree with this. I will actually agree with the split attraction model. Like, that's the, like, most people do not agree with that. I do. So, like, I'll put that out there. That's, like, the one thing I'm not going to criticize here. Because I do think the split attraction model is useful and blah, blah. And if you don't know what it is, it's basically the idea your sexual orientation and romantic orientation can be different. That's essentially what it means. But I am a believer in that, but I know a lot of people aren't.
Emotionally attracted to, who they say might want to date versus make out with. And fun fact, sexual and romantic orientations do not have to match up. You can be pansexual but homo-romantic, or heterosexual but bi-romantic. Okay, I think it is about time we cover an identity that is all too often left out. The aces and the arrows. You see, the amount of sexual that a person is exists on a spectrum. A sexual person experiences sexual attraction and desires. However, an asexual person does not. Important. Now, this is very different than celibacy. That is a choice. Celibate people choose not to engage in sexual behaviors. Asexual people, however, simply don't have the attraction or desire. This doesn't necessarily mean they don't have sex, though. Some choose to have consensual sex for the benefit of their partner, or other reasons. Some don't. Everyone is different. And you guessed it, aromantic people don't experience romantic attraction. Super important fun fact though, aromantic and asexual people can live very happy and fulfilled lives without these desires. In fact, this might be hard for you to wrap your mind around, but their sex and their relationship could even be way better than yours. This is another identity.
Wow, condescending much.
That is often forgotten or underrepresented, so it's very important we talk about them. Also, if you find yourself somewhere on the spectrum between asexual and aromantic, and sexual and romantic, you might like the label demisexual or demi-romantic, meaning you do not experience attraction unless you form a strong emotional connection with someone. Whew, now on to some
That's like, I didn't used to agree with it. I agreed with it and didn't agree with it, and now I agree with it. It's, if you look at, like, libido science, like, it is plausible. So, like, I do agree in that, but, like, as to whether asexuality is a spectrum and stuff, I think it's debatable, and because I guess gray also kind of makes sense, but then, like, it's not really something you have to come out as to people, except, like, to your partner, but, like, yeah, but, like, there's difference in sexuality and sexual orientation. Sexuality is the who and how. Sexual orientation is just the who. So you don't have to, like, come out like demisexual and gray sexual, they don't say who you're attracted to, so they're not really sexual orientations. They're just how do you feel sexuality, if that makes sense.
Non-binary gender identities. Ha! Look at the time. This is like a jillion-minute long YouTube video. And I still have so much to talk about. Tune in next week to explore gender and hopefully meet some non-binary guests. Leave a comment if any of these identities resonated with you, or please share if you think there is another label that is mis- or underrepresented. Okay, bye. Follow.
Alright, that was the end. So, yeah, leave your comments. What you think? I'll respond. But yeah, that was Hardell. If you want me to react to more Hardell, because apparently she did another video or another few videos, I certainly will. So yeah, just let me know. Anyway, thanks for watching. Catch you later.